spirit will rise from my grave, and you all know that I was right.
That is not me. That's not him. I would never walk up to you and say those words to you, and I'm so sorry that happened to you.
So you shoot him?
Yes.
What kind of gun did you use?
A Glock 45.
Our first story takes us to 2014, where a perpetrator openly admitted his guilt and remained disturbingly proud of his actions, making his conviction one of the most chilling on record. This case takes us to April 2014, where a hate-driven shooting spree by former Ku Klux Klan leader Frazier Miller Jr. shook the community of Overland Park, Kansas. Miller, a staunch advocate of white nationalism, anti-Semitism, and a fervent admirer of Adolf Hitler, opened fire outside two Jewish community centers, killing 3 innocent people in cold blood. His victims weren't even Jewish, a bitter irony in this hate-fueled rampage. Miller first came to the radar of law enforcement in the 1980s, when he lived in North Carolina and founded 2 white supremacist militias, the Carolina Knights of the Ku Klux Klan, and later the White Patriot Party. He and his groups terrorized blacks and Jews, burned crosses, stockpiled weapons, threatened to assassinate public figures, and mailed hate propaganda to thousands of people. The Overland Park shootings occurred both outside the Jewish Community Center and outside a retirement home, Village Shalom, nearby. The victims of the Jewish Community Center shooting were identified as 69-year-old William Lewis Corporon and his grandson, 14-year-old Reet Griffin Underwood. Both were United Methodist Christians. A 53-year-old woman, Terry Lamano of Kansas City, was killed in the parking lot of Village Shalom, where her mother resided. At 74 years old, the former Klan leader told the court during his trial, "I thrive on hate. If I didn't thrive on hate, I would go crazy."
I'll just get the hell out of here, go back to my cell, and wait for phase 2 if you're not going to give me a fair trial. You won't even answer a simple question. What the hell am I with you?
Miller, this is your warning, sir. If you're going to proceed in this manner, you will be removed from the court.
What manner? Be specific. What the hell are they talking about? Perry Mason did it all the time.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take our morning recess.
But even more shocking than his crime was Miller's reaction to his sentencing.
Carry out the sentence of death by lethal injection as provided by Kansas law.
One day, my spirit will rise from my grave, and you all know that I was right.
On November 10th, 2015, Frazier Miller Jr. was formally sentenced to death. He spent his remaining years on death row, unrepentant, until his death in 2021. June 17th, 2015, Charleston, South Carolina. It was a peaceful evening at the Emanuel African Methodist Episcopal Church. Inside, 9 African American worshipers gathered for Bible study, unaware that their sanctuary would soon turn into a scene of unimaginable horror. Among them was senior pastor and state senator Clementa C. Pinckney. In the middle of this sacred gathering, a young man joined the group. Dylann Roof, a 21-year-old self-proclaimed white supremacist, had entered the church under the guise of prayer. For over an hour, Roof sat with the congregants before pulling out a handgun and unleashing a wave of terror, killing 9 people and injuring a 10th. Him entering and then leaving the church was actually caught on camera. Roof later confessed that his goal wasn't just to kill. He wanted to ignite a race war. His actions were rooted in hatred, meticulously planned, as he openly admitted during his trial. In December 2016, Roof was convicted of all 33 federal charges, including hate crimes. But perhaps the most chilling part of this case wasn't just the crime, but Roof's cold reaction during his sentencing. In a taped confession, Roof coldly admitted to the killings, simply saying, "I did it, and I killed them."
Well, can you tell us about what happened last night?
Well, yeah, I mean, I went to that church in Charleston, and, I did it.
You did what? Well, I mean, I know it's tough sometimes to say.
It's not that I don't want to say it because I don't want to make myself seem guilty. I just don't really like saying it. You know?
But I know sometimes we have to face those things, the realities.
We don't want to put any words in your mouth. That's why.
Right.
That's why Agent Stansbury just was asking you what it exactly is that you did do.
Well, I killed. Well, I guess. I mean, I don't really know.
Well,
I mean, I don't know how many people or anything like that.
So did you shoot him?
Yes.
What kind of gun did you use?
A Glock 45.
Okay.
Despite the overwhelming evidence and the heart-wrenching testimonies of survivors, Roof showed no sign of guilt or regret. In January 2017, he was sentenced to death for his heinous crimes, becoming the first person in U.S. history to receive a federal death sentence for a hate crime. But even then, Roof refused to apologize. He remained defiant, declining to make any final statement before sentencing, saying only that he felt what he did was necessary. In state court, Roof avoided a second death sentence by pleading guilty to 9 counts of murder, 3 counts of attempted murder, and firearm charges. He was given 9 consecutive life sentences without parole. Today, Dylann Roof sits on death row, awaiting execution, still unrepentant for the lives he destroyed. Our next case takes us to the summer of 2015 in Douglasville, Georgia, where an alarming act of racial intimidation by 2 Ku Klux Klan sympathizers, Jose Torres and Kayla Norton, reignited national outrage. On July 25, 2015, Torres and Norton, along with a dozen other individuals, joined a convoy of pickup trucks waving large Confederate flags. This group, known as Respect the Flag, drove through Douglas County, a suburban community near Atlanta, Georgia. Their procession was not just a display of symbols, but an active campaign of terror. The convoy's destination was a birthday party being held in a predominantly black neighborhood. As they approached, the drivers parked their trucks and began their harassment. Torres, wielding a shotgun, and his group began to threaten the partygoers, using derogatory racial slurs. The situation quickly escalated when Torres aimed his shotgun at the partygoers, declaring his intention to kill them. A news channel even put together the video made by one of the neighbors, along with the 911 call.
Douglas County 911.
I'm sorry, we got some we over here on Chapel Hill Road.
You have
and
what on Chapel Hill?
We're over here on Hamilton Street, and we were having a party, and these white guys pulled out with rebel flags and stuff, holding shotguns on us and stuff. Please send 911 to Hamilton Street.
We're at on Hamilton Street, ma'am.
What's your address? 9037 Hamilton Street. They pulling rifles out on us. They come with it's like 5 trucks of white guys with rebel flags.
What's your name, honey?
Please send somebody. Please send somebody before somebody gets shot.
Okay.
These white guys got
Another dispatcher is sending somebody.
The legal response to this brazen act of hate came swiftly. Jose Torres was sentenced to 20 years in prison, with 13 years to be served after being convicted on 3 counts of aggravated assault, 1 count of making terroristic threats, and 1 count of violating Georgia's Street Gang Terrorism and Prevention Act. Kayla Norton received a 15-year sentence with 6 years to serve, convicted on 1 count of making terroristic threats and 1 count of violating the Street Gang Act. Kayla was paroled on September 27, 2019, after serving a total of 32 months. Her sentence ended on February 2, 2023, after which she remains under the supervision of the Department of Community Supervision and will have to serve on probation even after the 6-year portion of the sentence ends in 2023. The courtroom, however, was a scene of stark contrasts. Kayla Norton, overcome with grief, pleaded for forgiveness, expressing her sorrow over the prospect of her children growing up without her.
But I want you all to know that that is not me. That is not me. That is not him. I would never walk up to you and say those words to you. And I'm so sorry that happened to you. And you stand affected my life. And affected my children's lives. I forgive all of you. I'm not a mean spirit person. I do.
The victims, many of whom were still shaken from the event, expressed relief at the sentencing. Despite the emotional scars left by the intimidation, the community found a measure of closure through the judicial system. District Attorney Brian Fortner emphasized that this case was about more than just the Confederate flags. It was about a coordinated effort to harass and intimidate citizens based on their race. For many, the case of Jose Torres and Kayla Norton highlighted the persistent and alarming presence of racial hatred in America, serving as a stark reminder of the enduring trauma inflicted by such acts of hate. The convictions brought a significant measure of justice, reinforcing that acts of intimidation and violence based on racial hatred would not go unpunished. Thanks for watching. Cases like these provoke tough questions about our justice system and its approach to handling acts of racial intimidation and violence. Would you agree with the life sentences handed down in these cases? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for updates on more stories like these. See you next time.